Hi, welcome. This is my barn at our home, and we've been kind of fixing it up over the years to be a yoga space. So this is an initiation of sorts for this area. So the lighting back here is a little weird, and hopefully you can still follow me through this because I think that the voice is a lot better. So, you're welcome to begin either standing or seated. And so, for this practice, we're going to be moving to the next system, which is the large intestine. And so, the large intestine channel runs from the index finger up the arm and across to the opposite nostril, which is really interesting to me because of the way that I associate the large intestine with food and digestion, and how food and aroma kind of come in through the face, and then, deeper inside the body, there's the connection from the nose into the intestines. So the energy here is still associated with metal, but whereas the lungs were like this vertical, sharp sword of metal, helping with discernment and rhythm and initiation, the large intestine metal is more of this vast expanse. They associate it with the lake. And so there's an analogy with the metal element like a cave, or like the way that a rock wall will seep water. And so if you take in this metal analogy and bring it into the awareness of the lake and more of a horizontal plane, there's like this trickling of energy down the rock wall of the cave and a pooling into the lake, which goes out horizontally. And this kind of associates with the large intestine in Chinese medicine because they consider this a place of tremendous ability to process and sift through much information. Much food comes in here, and your intestines kind of sort out what is nutritive and what is to be moved on down the system and eventually eliminated. And so it is in our experience of the world, when we tap into the superpower of the large intestine, it's this ability to send your awareness out for research and collaboration, of this multifaceted ability to connect and process, and then trusting in the ability to discern and sift through what is going to be taken in and what is going to be released or just let go of, or even just not engaged with. And so it's like, I used to use the radio frequency. There's a whole bandwidth of radio stations, and you can fine-tune throughout those stations to decide what channel you're really listening to and also emitting into the world and into your environment. And so another analogy would be like the internet. The internet has unfathomable amount of information, and if you are the screen of your computer, what are you kind of downloading, and what are you showing, or what are you sharing, or what are you interacting with? And that there's a tremendous amount of choice in that. Not always 100% choice, but just the awareness of what are you aligning with, what are you receiving information from, and how do you use that to interact with your body and your environment. And so the large intestines are here to help with this, trusting the process and learning how to collaborate and listen with your surroundings. So there's a meditation I'd like to start with that I learned from Philip Shepherd, who is an author and a lovely person to learn from. And this is called the trickle-down effect. And so you're invited to close your eyes. And as you turn your attention inward, you could imagine or sense the inner body like a cave, full of precious minerals, sparkling facets. And that your awareness, like water on a cave wall, trickles down from your head into your neck. And with each breath, you feel your awareness trickling down from the neck through the chest and down into the abdomen. I find that the exhales bring a quality of descending. And if you consider your breath or your awareness like water flowing not only down the walls of a cave, but also around and between pebbles in a creek. Especially as you go through and around your organs and down into your pelvis. Your awareness just continues to drop down at your own pace, from your pelvis through your legs into your knees, and from your knees down to the soles of your feet. Now, an interesting thing happens when you start to feel the soles of your feet. This is where the energy begins to pool. And as it pools in the soles of your feet, there is a feeling of being filled back up from the feet into the ankles. Each breath allows your awareness to trickle down, still from the upper body, down into the lower body. And as it trickles down from here, you begin to be filled from the ankles to the knees, and from the knees up the thighs, and into the pelvis. So that whether you're sitting or standing, you could sense something like you are standing or sitting in a lake or pool, up to your pelvis, perhaps your waist. And that's as full as you are for now. And as you connect with this lower part of your body, full, perhaps wide and deep, there is a lightness, a levity to the upper body, chest, throat, and head. And you remain in this way, simultaneously grounded through the awareness of the hips and legs and feet, full and steady from the connection from the feet to the knees to the hips, yet light and expansive, open through the heart, throat, and head. Stay in this way however you feel it. You may continue to sense a trickle-down effect of your awareness traveling through your body, pooling in the soles of your feet. And allow your awareness to expand out to your sides, back behind and out in front. You can imagine yourself within a sphere. How large is that sphere? And what is the frequency, the emotion, the energy like within your bubble? You're welcome to choose something that feels light or peaceful, steady, loving. And as you tune yourself consciously to a frequency that is affirmative and enhancing, let that circulate throughout your bubble. And keep this awareness as we gradually start to add movement. If you're standing, you can remain standing. And if you're seated, stay as you are. And with your following exhale, let's turn the head across to one side. With the head turned softly to the side, gently widen the collarbones, drawing the shoulders back. And take one more deep breath, remembering that the large intestine channel comes in through the nose. So on your inhale, you can come to the center. And on your exhale, turn to the other side. Perhaps feeling a deeper awareness of the sensation of your breath at your nostrils. You can inhale and exhale, rotating to each side one more time. And when you've been to both sides, you can come back to the center. On an exhale, let your chin drop down towards your chest. And with an inhale, lift your chin and open the front of your throat, lifting your gaze towards the sky. And you can tilt up and down at your own pace. Inhale when you lift up, and exhale when you tilt down. And the next time you're up, see if you can keep this sense of openness to the base of the throat. And bring the chin down to balance the neck. Equal length through the front and back of the neck. And then exhale, let your ear sink over to your shoulder on one side. And whatever side your head is tilted to, you can try taking a hand out to the side just to add length to the diagonal line of your long neck. You can inhale up, exhale to the other side, feel which side is longer, and on that long side you can take the hand out, feeling connection from the side of your head or neck down through your fingertips, breathing to create a sense of movement and awareness. And then you can bring that hand in and the head up. All right, so finally I'd like to introduce, while we're still seated, a mudra, a hand position called the Hakini mudra. Now, this has a few different translations, but what you're doing is putting all 5 fingertips together to make a small spherical shape with your hands. And one of my favorite translations is the problem-solving position. And I love that because the large intestine is an excellent problem solver, taking in so much information and sifting through it until the answer is revealed or until the next step seems more apparent. So making this spherical gesture, let's start with it here at the chest. And just pulse your fingertips towards each other and then soften that contact a couple of times, kind of igniting your fingertips. This gesture is often considered to help balance the elemental forces in the body, the fire, wind, water, air, and earth. And then come to a soft connection point where you're aware of your fingertips in relationship with each other, and bring that spherical shape down towards your lower belly. And the Chinese have an energy center within the body called the Dantian. Many traditions actually consider there to be an energy center here in the body. So right now as I'm recording, it's close to Easter, so I've been thinking about golden eggs. So you could think about something the size of a golden egg, or perhaps smaller, inside your pelvis. And this sphere just reminds you of that connection to the spherical shape of your pelvis, the way that it is a bowl shape able to hold this golden egg. And that from this golden egg comes the fire of digestion. Your ability to process, transmute, and metamorphose food, information, energy, feelings, input into flesh and blood, into healthy cells, into a balanced emotional body, into a sensitive ability to connect and decipher unseen information. And we'll just breathe with whatever awareness you can feel within the bowl of the pelvis. And slowly keep this awareness as you open your eyes. You can bring your hands back up to the center of the chest, and then back even up just above your head. And we're going to make this shape with our hands and arms, making the sphere between the hands, and then also this round kind of globe shape within the arms, sometimes overhead, sometimes out in front. All right. So we are going to stand. Standing with your hands, palms facing you, and your arms out slightly. Soften the ankles and knees. And then on your next breath, when you're ready to inhale, sweep your hands out like you're scooping the space around you, and lift the hands, palms facing towards the eyes. Then exhale, pressing your hands out and away. Inhale, come back in towards the face with soft fingers and back down to the belly. Inhale, scoop and lift up to the face. Exhale, out the mouth, away from you. Inhale back in and exhale down. So you're gathering information and bringing it in, discerning what to release and let go, and then drawing back in what is beneficial and nutritive to deposit it into the body. Once more, inhale, lift to the face. Exhale out through the nose or mouth. Inhale back in and down to the dantian. Got it? One more time. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Great. So we're going to do this a few more times, but in different positions. Okay, so I'm going to turn to this side so you can see that I'm going to step forward with my right foot and back. Well, I'm actually stepping forward with my left foot and back with the right. Toes turned out a little ways, hips turned forward, and hands to the side. Then inhale to gather and lift. Exhale out to release. You can lunge forward. Inhale back in, lift, and exhale, deposit and reach your hands back towards that back leg. Twice more. Inhale, lift and bring in. Then exhale out, pushing forward. Inhale in and deposit. Pushing the hands back, lunging the head forward a little ways. Last time. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Step up with the back foot and we'll switch. Step the other foot back. I like to plant the back heel, but you could also keep it lifted if you prefer. I think it's a little steadier with the back heel down. Hips forward, chest lifted, gaze soft, arms at your side. And when you come around to your next inhale, gather the space around you and bring it up and in. Think about it coming in through the nostrils, out through the mouth, in through the nostrils and down into the belly and all the way to that back foot or heel. Inhale, draw in. Exhale, release out. Inhale, back in and deposit and extend. Last one. Inhale, gather. Exhale, release. Inhale, gather and deposit. Step back up. This time make your feet kind of closer. Bring your hands into the sphere mudra and think about a round globular shape with your arms. And see if you can relax the shoulders or soften the back of the neck. And then start to bend your knees and sit back into a chair. And as you sit back with your hips, really try to lift with your spine and torso. And remember that this sphere is a source of stability down in the lower belly, the dantian, in the bowl of the pelvis, the golden egg. And that the heart is lifted. I think there's a fair discussion to consider a golden egg in the center of the chest. And then even bringing the hands up somewhere over the head, sensing the top of the bubble around you. Sit down a little deeper, down into the lake like you're sitting down into a hot tub. And then let's rise up and extend really tall, really pencil thin. Squeeze your arms in as tight as you can. Squeeze your legs in towards each other. Root down through your feet and rise and sprout up through your fingertips. And then release at the top. Your hands can go out wide and come down. Take a big step back and let's turn all your toes forward and be wide to start with. Good. And then let's turn out with your toes on one side and bend that knee towards a warrior two. We'll come together with the spherical shape here in your pelvis. This back leg you want to keep slightly bent. Sometimes I do it a lot bent just to really try to orient the pelvis. And then to the chest. Good. And then out to the sides, expanding that horizontal plane. You can look out over your fingertips. And really settle into exploring the space out to the sides and front and back of you, like you're still standing in this bubble. And what are you emanating? What are you tuned to? Are you choosing what you tune into? You can come in with the hands, straighten that leg. Bring the hands down to pivot your toes forward and then out. Bending the knee. And I like this kind of connection with the sphere in the pelvis because it's kind of like a level ball. Like you're trying to balance it just in the right place. Noticing if your pelvis is like tilted off to one side or the other and trying to get it to the center and holding that as you bend one knee more than the other. And then you can stretch your arms out and gaze over your fingertips. And you can also sense that your lower half is still connected to the lake, that you are still deeply inhabiting your feet, lower legs, thighs, and pelvis, while lifting and expanding up through the heart and head. A soft breeze blowing across the top of the lake with your breath. And then you can come back to the center. Turn your toes forward. And heel toe your feet together. I like to bring the big toes touching. Bring your arms up again. And sit back. And as you're sitting back here, see if you can lift and spread your toes and deeply root down into your heels. It's like you're trying to sit back into a chair behind you. If you peek down and look at your feet, you want to see your toes. You don't want your knees to be going forward over your toes and hiding your feet. So try to come back until you can see your toes. And then think about your breath. Deep and expanding in your belly. On the inhale, it expands and lifts. And on the exhale, it contracts and supports. Keep this as you reach your arms up. Sitting down a little deeper through the seat. Rise up through the hands until they come apart and open. And then rise. Pencil point. And curve. Up and curve. One more time, swaying like a tree in the wind. And then back to the center. A little bit of a back bend here. And then you can release your arms out and down. Heel toe your feet a little farther apart. And then lightly turn your toes out. And we're going to try lifting up on the toes and back down. You can lift up, and when you lift up on the balls of the toes, squeeze the legs in towards each other and try to smoothly lower yourself back down. Lift up. more time, rising up, and we're going to try holding here. Good, really squeezing the ankles in, all the way up to the knees, into the inner groin and pelvis. And think about this ball or egg in your belly as like a gathering point. Everything draws in and lifts up. And then slowly you can lower the heels if you haven't already. And we're going to keep going down. So you may have to widen your stance out a little ways. And we're going to try to come down to a squat. So if you already know that your knees limit you or your ankles don't allow this, you can grab a blanket. You can put a blanket underneath your heels if that helps. And then let's bring yourself into the deepest squat that you can. And if squatting isn't available, you could sit back in your chair again. And take a few breaths here. And then try coming down either to the ground or just, you can just resistance your arm into your leg and your leg into your arm. So you're kind of squeezing your leg in, resisting your arm out. Keep the shoulder back and then twist around. It's kind of a deeper belly twist. Try to keep your hips and feet to the floor. Inhale to the middle. And you can switch to the other side. This is like your stabilizer here. So your arm presses out into your leg hugs back into your arm, and you keep that, whether you can touch the floor or not, and revolve around, keeping the collarbones wide and open, the jaw and palate relaxed. Good, then inhale back to the center again, and we'll have a seat on your blanket. So here on your seat, you can kind of recline back on your hands a little ways. And bring your right leg up and cross it over the left. Now here again, you could easily be sitting in a chair. Okay, but if your hips and legs and body allow for you to sit on the ground, this is wonderful to do on the floor as well. Try walking your hands up a little closer and lift your spine and torso while relaxing your legs and hips as much as possible. I know that this is challenging. I've done this practice 3 times now, so my hips are finally starting to agree with me. So if your hips are creaky, just try to be present with it. Notice what you feel when you breathe and see what is willing to let go with each exhale. Good, and then you can lean back a little farther so that you can uncross that leg and switch, cross the other leg over. And you're opening your knee and thigh away from your body. And usually the tension is kind of in this outer hip space here. So just try to feel what you feel and see if you can encourage some part of it to shift or move or transform with the intention of metamorphosis and transformation. Metal is a master element that shows us how immense pressure and heat can change. And I would say that between this position here in your hips and the current complexity of our world, there is immense heat and pressure. And so the transformative qualities are there if we choose to use those catalysts to make changes. I love stone medicine, you can uncross, because it really shows that medicine of how the diamonds are formed, you know, in the hottest, most intense places. We're going to go from seated over to hands and knees. And I know that hands and knees can be tricky for some of you. So if you can add padding under your knees, that would be beneficial. Or potentially, I think these exercises could be done in a way at the wall. I want to warm up your hips a little bit more so that we can deepen the hip stretching and the twisting. Okay, so come over onto your hands and knees. And you can make a couple of hip circles. One way and then the other. And you can take a proper tabletop with a long spine, lift the belly, take a deep inhale, and when you exhale, we'll round and arch, pressing the spine out through the back. And then on the inhale, let the belly drop down, lift the head, widen the collarbones. A couple more rounds at your pace of breath. Good. And come back to neutral. Try to keep the abdominal organs supported. And we're going to lift the knee out to the side. So inhale when the knee comes up and exhale when it goes down. Inhale up. Exhale, just graze the ground as you come down. Inhale up and exhale down, building a little bit of strength and warmth in the glutes. And then hold the leg out to the side and take a couple of circles one way and then the other as slow as you can. Controlling the weight of the leg is what really helps to strengthen the butt. And then set that knee down. Now if your wrists start getting tired, you could come down onto an elbow or both elbows to do this out to the side. Lift and lower. Lifting and lowering. Try to smooth the action of the lift and slow the action of the lower. And then hold the knee out to the side and roll a circle each way. And then set that knee down beside the other. You can keep going if you're not feeling the burn. But I feel the burn because, like I said, I've done this 3 times. So this is a good one to do. You can settle your hips back towards your heels. Take a few breaths in child's pose. And then on your next inhale, come forward once more onto your hands and knees. And we're going to do a different kind of twist. So you can lift your left arm, reach it up, and then thread the needle under. So your shoulder and ear come down to the floor. Then your other hand can walk towards the front of your mat as you spin open. Good, then come in and up and switch. Lift the right arm, tuck a shoulder under, the hips stay lifted. Try to equalize your weight between your knees. Then back up to the center. And this time reach your hands out way in front for a puppy dog pose. If you've had a puppy lately, you know how they love to kind of stick their tail up in the air and wag and stretch. Opening the shoulders. Then we'll stay low as you come down onto the ground, onto your belly. You can stack your hands and rest your forehead on your hands and take a few breaths here, letting your whole body spread horizontally across the floor. You can let your thighs soften and your belly relax, your chest and upper back widen. Even your face can relax here. Supporting your body in its natural ability to process, to listen for guidance, wisdom, to seek out the best collaborators and partners. And to discern what is going to build healthy, strong body parts and relationships, and what is best to release and eliminate. Finish your next exhale. Then lift your head off your hands. Put your fingertips on the floor out beside you. You can set your forehead back down. And with your fingertips out wider than your mat, lift the shoulders. Your arms might feel a little bit like spider legs out beside you. And then you can kind of circle one shoulder, lifting it up and dropping it down, trying to mobilize your shoulder blade on your back. And then the next time you feel like that shoulder is lifted as far away from the ground as possible, keep it there. And move the other one around, lubricating the shoulder blade on your back. And then finding the strength to lift that shoulder so it feels like both shoulder blades draw towards each other on your back. Your chest is already opening because your shoulders are so lifted. Press into all 10 fingertips and start to lift your head if you haven't already. As your head lifts, really drag your heart forward, the golden egg in your chest beaming out 360 degrees all around. It becomes brighter on your inhale, and it gathers back into itself on the exhale. Try to even pull your fingertips back towards your feet. One more inhale, and then exhale. You can come back down. Reach your hands back towards your feet this time. Keep the shoulders lifted. You can add the legs if you like and float above the ground as the head levitates. You could think of a similar radiation in the golden egg at your belly as it touches the floor. On the inhale, it expands and almost pushes you up away from the ground. And on the exhale, the energy draws in to gather strength and radiance. You can come down, bring your hands alongside your chest, and on an inhale, push up. We're going to go back to hands and knees, and you can go back to the same child's pose, or you can make little fists. Put the fists right into your belly, and then softly fold forward over your fists so that the soft tissue of the belly is getting a deeper pressure with the hands. So especially when you exhale, try to soften the soft tissue and let the hands sink in a little deeper. Obviously, if you've just eaten, this doesn't feel as good. Trying to use your breath and this contact with your fists and your stomach to encourage circulation and movement. That any stagnant bits that might get stuck along the entire footage of your intestines may start to move. You can kind of add any little soft massage that feels good. And finish your next breath. And slowly you can bring yourself back up. So this blanket is the only prop that I'm using today. If you don't have a blanket. You could use a book. You kind of want it to be firm. You don't want to be using like a squishy pillow. So a firm blanket or like a book with a softer blanket over it will work. And now we're going to come back to our seated position and do some deeper twists. All right, so in your seat, let's put one leg out to the side and keep the other leg in, toes pointing up, and try to equalize yourself on your hips. Then start to revolve your belly button towards your toes. And I'm using my leg to kind of push and wrap myself around. And really encouraging all the belly to rotate as much as it's willing. And then reach. So I'm turning towards my left leg, and I'm reaching my right hand out and over. And even if it comes to the leg and not the toes, take a few breaths to turn down towards that leg. And oftentimes the opening is happening kind of in the middle of the torso. You could also put both hands on the ground on either side of the leg and just use your soft guidance to revolve more and more your torso towards your leg, so that on the inhale you kind of push out against the inner edges of the body cave, and on the exhale you trickle down and out and over a little deeper. Inhale, exhale. And a deeper position might look like the hand reaching out beyond or towards the outer foot. Try to drop the head down and keep the hips grounded as you fold out and over your leg. Finish your exhale and inhale. You can come up to the center and switch legs. Good. So steadied, grounded down through both parts of the pelvis. The egg is kind of stabilized in the middle here. And then you revolve around so that your sternum is pointing more towards the top of your foot. You can reach up, wrap the belly, wrap the belly, wrap the belly, and come out and over that leg. You could put both hands, one on each side of the leg, to help add to that revolution of the torso and the belly. The inhale is helping you to feel the inner edges of the cave, and the exhale helps you to trickle down your energy. Water moving down and through and over and around stones is able to do so smoothly and easily. And so if you can connect to that sensation in your body, it can help your organs to lubricate and flow and move over each other a little easier, creating greater circulation and movement. And really following the guidance of your breath. Really don't try to force yourself deeper into this pose with a willful exertion of your muscles. Really try to let your breath guide you deeper. On your inhale, you can come up and out. Bring this leg in and hold under your ankle and under your leg here, kind of supporting your knee. And you can do a little baby cradle. Deeper version would be to really baby cradle it. You want to keep your ankle straight if you do this, meaning you don't want it to be turned to this side. Straight ankle, baby cradle. And however you're holding this leg, don't forget the levity up through the heart and the head. You want to stay open through the collarbones and across the front of the throat, even if it means you're holding your leg down here. Again, then you can gently set this one down as you would a baby and switch to hold the other. Like I said, this is my third time doing this practice, so if you do this a couple of times in a row, you might be surprised at what the hips, how much they change, how much the metamorphosis happens through repetition. So you can move any amount deeper. And be gentle, soft and compassionate, really listening and feeling the body's cues and guidance. Good. And you can set that foot down and lean back on your hands one more time. You can turn the fingers out a little bit if that suits you. And we're going to bend the knees out in front, both feet flat. This would be extreme rounding and hunching. So try to do the opposite of lifting and opening. Push down into your feet, and you're going to lift your hips up and lower back down. One more time, lift the hips up a tad higher and lower back down. Last one, really try to stay open through the throat. Lift a bit higher, maybe look up and lower back down to your seat. Then you take your knees out to the side and up. You can widen your feet for this, a little bit wider. Yeah. Now I'm going to turn to the side so you can see this from the side as well. So you can be on your hands or you could be on your elbows back here. Let the knees come across. Wide feet so that the knees can come fairly close to the ground. Then I'm going to come back up and show you a deeper version of this. Knees to the side. Put one hand back behind, stabilize that arm. Lift the other arm out in front. And you can try lifting the hips up. Bring the gaze up. Exhale the hips down. And you switch. Knees come over to the side. So the knees on the ground and the knees on the ground. That's what's supporting. As well as this hand back behind. Good. Bring the knees up. And then you can take your blanket out from underneath and lay down. Oh, wait, don't lay down yet. We're going to do a slightly deeper twist. Bottom leg down, top leg over top. Try to lift up as high as you can. Could have a blanket underneath if you need. Yep, and then hold that knee as you twist towards it. If you find your twist deepening, you could hold your leg a little closer into your elbow. Really feel the belly. You could even kind of help to wrap everything around. And really, if this bottom hip, like if your hips still aren't open enough for this, you could just have this leg extended out in front. And you can twist around similarly. Okay, I'll show you the other side. So you can hold the knee, put the other hand back behind to help remind you of the levity and verticality through the torso. Relax in the upper back. Wrap the belly a little deeper with the help of your hand. Finish all the way to the end of your exhale And then unwind to the center as you breathe in. And from here, you can move your blanket out to the side. Scoot yourself forward and lay down on your back. Feet hips distance. Heels up near your seat. Hands and arms to the ground. Inhale, lift the hips. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. One more time, lift and hold. And exhale and lower. Take the right leg across the left like the number 4, open like we did on your seat. Release and switch. Cross with the shin open. Bring the legs up towards your body. See if you can coax the shoulders back down towards the ground as you bring the legs towards your body. If your hips are tight, it tends to lift the shoulders up. And release that as well. We'll go for one more twist while we're laying down. So you can put your feet on the floor, lift your hips, shift them over to the edge of your mat. Cross the legs, so I'm shifted to the right edge of the mat. I cross my right leg over the left, and I'm bringing my knees across towards the ground. Trying to keep the shoulders settled and burrowed. You can open the hands out wide and gaze over towards one hand. On an inhale, you can come up, switch, hips to the middle, and then across to the other side. Crossing the left leg over this time as the knees come across and down. Really try to feel your exhales, drawing the belly and belly button in, letting the full exhale empty all the way out and almost slurping your belly in. Back to the center. Realign your hips to the middle. You can bring both knees into your chest and hug them in so you get a gentle pressure on your abdomen here. You can rock a little bit. You can guide the knees into some circles over the hips. And switching the circles if you're doing that. Then finally, widen your knees out to the side. You can bring the soles of the feet together with the knees wide. You can put your fists underneath your legs to support, or let your hands be out to the side. And again, let yourself spread and widen like a humongous lake. From here, if there's any other poses you feel like you need or your body wants before relaxing in Shavasana, you can do that. Otherwise, from here, you're invited to extend the legs and flex and point the toes. Stretch your arms up over your ears and just take a yawning stretch before you become still in Shavasana at the end. I'm going to sit back up and hold space for you while you relax. And as you stretch out on the ground, feel the parts of your body that are connected to the floor. And really let your consciousness and attention descend with each exhale deeper and deeper into the ground and beyond. That your body spreads like a single drop of water on a flat surface. And that in the beginning you may feel awareness at the surface, your breath still influencing the top of the lake with little ripples. But eventually, as you deepen your stillness, bring yourself beneath the surface and down into the depth. Feel spaciousness between the joints of the bones. Spaciousness along the fibers of the muscle. Even a transparent porosity to your skin. Slowly start to deepen your breath once more. Feeling the breath help you to inhabit more of your inner cave. That the inhales fill you up to the edges of your skin, and the exhales soften you back into your inner depth. You can add movement to the fingers and toes, and gradually bring yourself up into a seat. This is my little friend Davy. He's a good little dog. As you come upright again, you can imagine seated connection with the inner pelvis, as though you're still sitting in that great pool of water. And finally, I'd like to invite you to move through this Qigong with the hands once again. Inhale to scoop and gather in. Exhale to release and expel. Inhale to draw in and trust what is deposited is nourishing. Inhale to scoop and receive. Exhale to release. Inhale to bring in and deposit. Last time, gathering, receiving, releasing, re-assimilating, and depositing to incorporate and metamorphose into vibrant, healthy bodies. Bring your hands together to touch on your belly, and you can take a couple of circles to really seal all this into your body. Saying a special thank you to your large intestine, your small intestine, thanking them for their superpowers of discernment and processing, integrating and eliminating, and that we may cooperate and listen for the teachings and the wisdom all around. Thank you for practicing with me. It's such a pleasure to share this, and it's really brought me a fair bit of joy, so I hope that that may be translated to you in some way.